This is definitely new. Welcome to my new setup for all my new gaming videos. Game reviews, whatever. Anyways, before we do our review of Super Mario Brothers, I just want to give a simple thing. Spoiler alert. Watch the Sonic the Hedgehog review if you don't know what I'm talking about. The ratings I gave Sonic 1 and Castlevania, I feel were pretty much off the whole game, because Sonic the Hedgehog, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, and I thought, now I'm thinking, seems like, I think it's like, okay, I guess. But really, I think it's pretty good. So I'll bump that up to a 7.5 out of 10. Ghosts and Goblins? Yeah, I mean, that I gave that a 5.5 out of 10 because I got to level 5 and I didn't know too much about the rest of the game. Little did I know that you have to play the game twice to actually beat it. Yeah, frick that bullcrap. The second time you go through it, it's even harder, so bump that back to a 4.5 out of 10. Oh yeah, and I gave Castlevania a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I still agree with that rating. But here's the thing. I said it was my favorite game for the NES. I don't know why I said that. Because that belongs to Super Mario Brothers 3. No, it could be my favorite horror game, but Super Castlevania 4 exists, and yeah. So, Castlevania, it's fun game. I'll say that. Super Mario Brothers, am I right? Before I go over Super Mario Brothers, let's begin with a bit of history, shall we? Back in 1981, a new Nintendo employee named Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to make an arcade game with Popeye. Yes, Popeye climbing his way up a tower so he can save olive oil from Bluto. This would later become an actual game for the Famicom, but they didn't have the license to do so, so they made up their own characters. Jumpman the Carpenter, Pauline the Damsel in Distress, and Donkey Kong the Stubborn Ape for their new game, Donkey Kong. In the game, you play as Jumpman and have to climb up ladders avoiding barrels so you can get to the top of the construction site and save Pauline from the hands of Donkey Kong. You can also grab a hammer power-up that smashes barrels, or you could just simply jump over them. There are 2 levels, well, on the arcade version at least, and in the second level you have to grab these objects in the floor that are holding the floors together. By the way, Jumpman can die from quote-unquote tall heights. Once you get those floor objects, you successfully beat Donkey Kong and save Pauline. With that conclusion, I'll give this game a 7 out of 10. There would later be a sequel to Donkey Kong called Donkey Kong Jr., where Jumpman is the villain. But in 1983, Jumpman got his own game called Mario Brothers, where we found out that Jumpman is an Italian plumber named Mario and he has a brother named Luigi. In this game, you try to clean out the sewers of New York by hitting the bottom of platforms that are underneath enemies so you can kill them in each stage, or phase, as Mario Brothers refers them to. The enemies are turtles, crabs, and flies. Occasionally when you beat a phase, you'll encounter a bonus phase, where you have to collect all of the floating coins in the phase. There are a total of 99 phases in the entire game. If you have a friend, you can play as Mario and Luigi together. With that, I'll give this game a 6.5 out of 10. Both games were very successful, being ported to the MSX, ColecoVision, Intellivision, the Atari 2600, the NES, which was the versions I was showing you, the Game & Watch, which for Donkey Kong was the first appearance of the D-pad, and for Mario Brothers was a different game entirely. That same year, on July 15th, the Famicom was released in Japan with the launch titles of Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., and ironically, the Popeye game I was talking about a while ago. During late 1983, Miyamoto and a few others were developing a successor to Mario Bros. Called Super Mario Bros., which would release for the Famicom and would be a launch title for the International Famicom, the NES, or Nintendo Entertainment System. The story goes that King Bowser Koopa used his black magic to turn all of the Mushroom Kingdom's inhabitants into blocks, and stole the kingdom's princess, Princess Toadstool, who was able to restore King Koopa's black magic to normal. In panic, the Mushroom King begged Mario and his brother Luigi to save Princess Toadstool and the Mushroom Kingdom. Well, according to the instruction manual of the game. Yeah. Now on to the game itself, and yep, this is an NES launch title, alright. Anyways, let's get into the controls of the game, shall we? You control Mario with the D-pad, and you can jump by pressing the A button. And if you hold down B, you can run left and right. Although, when adults play the game, it's like they don't even notice the B button at all, and I'm just like, do it! I'm sorry about that. Anyways, Mario's control in this game is actually kind of finicky. He feels pretty heavy when you walk, but when you run, it's like you're going extremely fast and have like a truck ton of momentum. He also feels kind of floaty when running and jumping as well, which can lead to my death. But anyways, Mario can actually jump surprisingly high for an overweight Italian. Mario himself also has crappy endurance. Only one hit. There are floating coins you can gather in the levels. If you gather 100 coins, you can get an extra life. You can also hit glowing blocks, where mostly coins will come out, but occasionally a power-up will pop out. There's the Super Mushroom, which gives you an extra hit point. Speaking of which, there's the Fire Flower, which does the exact same what the Super Mushroom does, but it also gives you the ability to throw fireballs. There's the Invincibility Star, which gives you temporary invincibility and can kill almost anything. Almost anything. Why? And there's also the 1-Up Mushroom, which gives you an extra life. There are 4 levels per world. There are 8 worlds in the game, making a total of 32 whole levels. There are the standard levels, underground levels, treetop levels, and water levels. Oh yeah, and there's also the castle levels. Usually, at the end of a level, you'll get to a flagpole which you jump on and slide down on, and then you go into a castle. But at the end of a castle level, there's just a boss, which is King Koopa. And if you actually defeat King Koopa, it reveals someone in disguise because of the real King Koopa's black magic. Once you beat a Bowser, you get to this piece of Speaking of enemies, there's the Goombas, the Koopa Troopas, the Piranha Plants, there's the Buzzy Beetles, there's the Lakitus that throw Spinies, there are the Cheeps, there are the Bloopers, there are the Bullet Bills, and there's my least favorite enemy. The mother truckin' freaking Hammer Brothers! They're always killing me, it's so unpredictable! Jesus freaking Christ! The level design is incredible and a lot of fun to speedrun in certain levels. It isn't perfect because of Mario's finicky control and some level design, but it works amazingly well. The soundtrack is beyond phenomenal. Go to your nearest person, and I bet they know the Super Mario Bros. Overworld theme. It's so iconic, it has been remixed so many times, my head might explode because of how many times it's been remixed. I mean, the others are great too, like the underwater theme and the castle theme as well. They're all really, really great tracks. Once you defeat King Koopa in all the worlds before 8, you have to fight the real one. He's pretty easy, but kind of tough to dodge. But once you beat him, you officially save Princess Toadstool and have beaten Super Mario Bros. You're also offered a second quest, and if you go to the title screen, there is a level select, so that's pretty cool, but no thank you. I'm not interested. World Track and Meet cartridge, all 3 on the NES. There's the Super Mario Brothers
And
All-Stars
that
collection
Super
on the
Mario
Super
Brothers
Nintendo and
for the
Wii.
NES.
There's the one on
My
Super Mario
God, this
Brothers
game has
Deluxe.
aged
There's
wonderfully
the
over
NES
time.
Classics collection.
Like, there's nothing that seems
on the Game Boy
outdated
Color.
or
You can get on the Wii,
you know, something
Wii
like
U,
that.
3DS Virtual
Like, it's
Console.
just it's incredible.
Yeah,
Of course, the graphics look a bit
That was
dull.
still-
Of course, by
Wait, the
today's
Wii Shop channel
standards.
closed?
And it's just an amazing experience. It's incredible what this game is. And with that being said, I'll give this game an 8 out of 10. It's a great, amazing game. You should play it. Which, speaking of playing it, there's multiple ways to play it. Like, there's the original NES cartridge. There's the Duck Hunt Mario Brothers cartridge. There's the Minecraft Wii Sports, the game that won Game of the Year in 2017, even though it wasn't officially released, it was just a beta, it was PUBG.
Wait, the Wii Shop channel closed?
The Wii U and 3DS Virtual Console, there's the NES Classic Edition, which is the version I played on. There's Nintendo Switch Online, which is alright, and the NES Classic Edition and Nintendo Switch Online, both great ways to play with multiple other games on there. Of course, I much prefer the NES Classic Edition to Nintendo Switch Online. Or you could just emulate it on your computer. You know, just do that. And I mean, people thought that back in the day, this game was revolutionary. It didn't single-handedly save the industry, but it was a huge factor with it. Let's see. I mean, it's like, what? In the top 10 best-selling games of all time? Yeah. Of course it got like, back then it was the best-selling video game.